Oh, this is the severalth time I've tried to do this, and just the video capture thing just would not want to be bothered by working. But anyway, hello, Seafood John here. Little sort of side note to the Yang style sort of series that I'm doing here, the Deconstructing Yang style. And let me get my note out of the way. Just some books to recommend because it wouldn't be me if I didn't have books involved somehow. First and foremost, Fu Zhongwen's Mastering Yang Style Taiji Chuan. Fu Zhongwen was a student directly of Yang Chen Fu. And so that's kind of a big deal because, again, Yang Chen Fu being the one who sort of set the long form and the sort of standard for Yang style that we think of it now. There's one or two little things. So if you look up Fu Zhongwen on YouTube, there's actually a couple little videos of him. I don't know why I have a half price thing in there. Excuse me. There's a couple of videos of still being able to see him play, and I don't know. There's pictures of like his son in here too. I don't know if you can see him on that. I haven't looked that up. But it's got a brief history, sort of again of Yang style, talking about the essentials, the 10 essentials that we talked about before as well. And it goes in specifically naming all the postures. In this one, they have it listed out as being 85 postures in the long form. Everyone sort of numbers it a little bit differently. Some people, instead of just grass sparrow's tail, they actually break it down as, Peng Lu Ji and An. During the change from one section to another, when we have Embrace the Tiger, Return the Mountain, they might actually have that, and then like Liu Ji An. Some people might call like wave hands like moving clouds or cloud hands or wave hands or whatever they want to list it as. There's 3 times you do that. They might have it where they list it 3 times. Each one, cloud hands 1, cloud hands 2, cloud hands 3. So that's going to count for like 9 postures alone. So everyone does a little bit differently. There's the way they work it out is with sort of like drawings. Someone who looks suspiciously like Yang Chen Fu. And they go in and talk about each posture, how to play it, going from one to another, and things like that. So it actually goes through most of this here. I get to pass this through the entire thing. And then it has a whole section on push hands, different stepping methods, and then goes into different things called classics. So things that would be, I didn't turn my phone sound off. I apologize. Things that would be pretty much universal for Tai Chi in general. I'll get to something with that here in a second. I'll kind of get to these specific ones first. These next 2 might be a little bit more difficult to find. This one, again, translated by the same guy, same company, Yang Chen Fu's The Essence and Applications of Taiji Chuan. So Yang Chen Fu is, again, the teacher of Fu Zhongwen, so this is going to, kind of take a generation step back. Again, goes into some stuff with history, goes into stuff with the forms, and specific sort of commentary about a lot of the routines and playing by yourself and playing push hands, and different things like that. And again, a sort of philosophical stuff kind of at the end with Taiji Chuan as well. Now this one, like I said, that might be a little harder to find. This one probably is going to be hard to find. This was hard to find. I don't remember when I got it. I was still working at Borders, so it had to have been somewhere between 1999 and 2009. I want to say probably in the middle of that somewhere. I think I actually tried to get it a couple times. It's Tai Chi Touchstones Yang Family Secret Transmissions. So some of like the treatise stuff and philosophically kind of things that might be in the other ones might be expanded upon in here. I think this was out of print when I tried to get it. And again, this was, 16, 17, 18 years ago or something like that when I tried to get it. I don't know if it's been reprinted. Doesn't quite have the right smell yet. But it has stuff like this, where it has like pictures from Yang Chen Fu and stuff where he's talking about the postures and the things. But the way the language is almost a little, is kind of poetic in certain ways. But it does explain, like, where's this thing here? So fist under elbow protects the middle joint. So it's actually talking about some of the specific stuff too. So some things are a little flowery, some things aren't. This is where I got, if you take Tai Chi from me, and you hear me say something like Yang Chen Fu is talking about it as Peng Jing, the ward-off energy, as it being like a boat sitting on water. And I'll even talk about that with the standing postures too. This is pretty much where I got that from. Tai Chi proper functioning, floating, sinking, heavy, and then, a good portion of this is getting into, again, the sort of philosophical classics sort of thing for it. So it's not just the form, all three of them, not just the routine, but also a little higher level stuff to think about, stuff to keep in your mind when you are playing and studying and everything else like that. So those three are kind of directly Yang style. Now, they talked about Tai Chi Classics before. This is a version of that as well. Wei Sun Lao, I believe, put them together and translated. There's new translations of 3 essential texts of Tai Chi Chuan with commentary and practical instruction. As you can see, the other ones in this one, I've had these for a while, and they've been put to a lot of good use. The Yang style one we went through a couple times over, like in depth, broke it down and went in. I've read this maybe 3-4 times or something like that, all told. It's got some movements. I think this is actually describing like the simplified form and kind of wonky pictures, not super great. But I mean, it's talking about meditation. It's talking about, your spirit should be controlled internally. Externally, you should appear calm and comfortable. So it's going into like heavy stuff like that. Diagram of people and yin and yang and moderation. You can see I've been highlighting and notating it at some time, which I'll do in nonfiction stuff a lot. But yeah, also going into sinking power, controlling power, and it's showing like different forces and stuff like that with it. But if you're going to play internals at all, let alone Tai Chi, this one's really good. Wei Sun Lao, Tai Chi Classics. And I believe, there's been at least one more edition, maybe 2, since I got this 20 years ago. And I think it's more of a beigey kind of color. It doesn't have like this glossy sort of thing on it. I can't remember exactly what it looks like. But yeah, there's been at least one more edition since I got that. So it's not going to look the same if you can find it newer than, again, the 20-something odd year old version. Okay. Next 2 are by the same guy, Zhou Senghua. Guy, I guess, came into like Tai Chi and internals a little bit later in life after having, I guess, a heart issue kind of pop up, and then learned a lot of different Tai Chi stuff. I bought this book. Well, it came to the store, the Borders I used to work at, and, just about 20 years ago this week. 7/20/01. So, yeah, it's July 20th, July 2001. It's 27th July 2021 right now. So, yeah, this came in 20 years ago. And I'd been looking through it before because my teacher had a copy. So it's the Tao of Tai Chi Chuan, Zhou Senghua. He gets into Chen style, Yang style, the Wu styles, a little bit of everything. Push hands. I think he was like an engineer first, but I mean, there's even diagrams of all those. There's the Laojia, both Laojia forms for Chen style, long form for Yang style, Wu. I think the first Wu. Which one is you? was this one? Oh, the compulsory routine. So the 42 compulsory routine gets into a ton of philosophy. Again, you can see highlighting and underlining and notation. 'Cause that's what I do. Talking about again. So if you're going to look at the 5 elements and stuff like that, there's creative and destructive cycles, and they get into those stuff about yeah, the elements and the organs and the seasons, breathing, yin and yang. I think he was an engineer, so there's cool stuff in it. With that too, it goes into history, ton of stuff with this. It's actually a really good book. I've read this one, like the other one, a couple of times, and it's interesting how you see things differently over time. Now, the other one, I'm kind of adding this in here because I think it is a good, not bridge, but at least a supplement. Again, it's Zhou Senghua, Tao of Meditation. What's cool about this is it's not just, oh, well, if you sit and sit like this, then you're going to have your crown chakra. No, it gets into a thing. It gets into Taoism. It gets into yin and yang and tai chi, and he's actually going into, you can see, is talking about like spatial things and the fourth dimension with time, and how we perceive it, I should say. How it also, like, time. Where I'm trying to see if I can find the line. No, yeah, the way you're talking about. So if you see, if we were to take, a drinking glass, kind of, it's got a taper to it, and put it through our three-dimensional glass into a two-dimensional world, you're going to see it in segments. You're not going to see the whole, and the segments will be the circle that kind of opens, or gets bigger as it goes. Carl Sagan actually has a whole video that you can find. It's like 9-10 minutes long, talking about like Tesseract stuff. And again, the idea of if beings in these different dimensions were trying to perceive a third dimension or the one high it won't come through correctly. And he even talks about if there are intelligent beings in a fourth dimension or higher, how we really wouldn't be able to perceive them the way we perceive things with our senses and everything now. So now to my mind, it's like, well, that could actually describe things people have seen and experiences people, including myself, have had. Is like, doesn't necessarily mean that there's no God or gods or any of this other stuff like that. It could be these other higher dimensional beings and in different things trying to interact with us, but because we're on different planes of existence, we can't really fully perceive that. He's even talking about, keep in mind that because we are all describing a four-dimensional reality in terms of 3 dimensions, so our reality itself isn't even 3 dimensions. It's more than that, but we're trying to describe it in 3. And also, all our apparatus to measure that, including our little meat brains in these heads, are all 3 dimensions. Our senses are all 3 dimensions. So that's all we can really perceive and go with, at least while we're talking about being in matter. That's a massive other discussion. This or that angle will never yield any absolute truth, just different, equally valid slices. So yeah, it's getting into cool stuff like that, which I'm going to enjoy when it starts getting weird. Consciousness, perception, dimensional, weird, cool stuff like that. I'm going to enjoy that, because I do just enjoy that. So just a few little books here, 6 to be specific, that I have gotten a lot of personally myself, and I know other people who have read them and gotten stuff out of them as well. This isn't even counting, finding a version of the Tao Te Ching that works for you, or if you want to get into like Chuanzi or Wenzi, or the heavier Taoist sort of stuff. Bruce Kumar Francis, or Bruce Francis, or BK Francis, Frantiz, I think his name is, has got a ton of books out there, and there's some good stuff in them. He's got a lot of videos that you can find, and all that. The delivery of such might be, in some things, people might maybe be rubbed the wrong way, a little bit wrong way for it. But there's good information. His stuff, the books and the videos and things that I've seen or researched have kind of helped me a lot in some things. And reach out to people if you can. I've actually had oh, I'm blanking on it because it's not in front of me right now, and I'm tired and hungry. Yang Ming, not specifically related to like the Yang family of Tai Chi Yang, but he's a Kung Fu practitioner and internal practitioner, actual doctor, and it's got a ton, also a ton of books, a ton of videos, a ton of really good information. And I've actually asked him a couple questions about things that I've seen come up. I just emailed stuff, and he actually emailed me back. Same thing with the Taoist, from was actually from like Wudong Mountain, who runs the Wudong Dao website, and he's got videos and stuff up there. And there's actually, they used to back in the day have a translation of the Tao Te Ching that a friend of mine actually printed off and bound, kind of spiral bound in like these laminated sheets. And again, I've had that for almost 20 years too. And that's actually kind of the Tao Te Ching that I'll go to the most if I'm going to kind of research or study that. But I've asked them stuff too, and they've been nice enough to send stuff back. I've asked a couple questions. Bosco Beck. I'm probably slaughtering that name. He's actually a Chen style guy, I believe from California. I think he's a student of Chen Bing. And again, they've been cool. It's like, and if ton of stuff out there, and stuff out. They got a little bit of a name for themselves if you're kind of in this field, I guess. Some notoriety, and they've been cool about like emailing me back stuff if I've asked questions. So, maybe give that a shot in, if there's people that you like too, and just keep going with it. So, just some suggestions for some books that again have helped me. I've read them, most of them, several times, and just a way to sort of put a good foundation on your sort of research library if you choose to go ahead and have one of those things. All right, so thanks. I appreciate it, and we'll see you soon. Thanks. Keep practicing.